New Super Mario Bros. Wii. More like old and redundant Super Mario Bros. Wii, since it's literally, 15 years old, and there's been not one, not two, or even three, but four mainline new Super Mario Bros. Games. That's absurd. But hey, this is only the second, so it gets a pass, right? Hey guys, welcome back, and today I will be covering New Super Mario Bros. Wii, a game that, despite the introduction sounding kind of harsh, I believe is a very solid and underrated game. Hell, I even did a full 2-player, 100% Let's Play of the game for this video, and it was absolute mayhem. But anyways, I will be covering the game, starting with its origins. First, we must travel back to E3 2004, when Nintendo officially revealed and showcased the Nintendo DS, a new system that will release in November of 2004. At E3, Nintendo showed off many new games for the system, including a new 2D Mario game. At the time, there had not been a new mainline 2D Mario game since the release of Super Mario Land 2, The 6 Golden Coins, in 1992. Sure, you had remakes of older 2D Mario games like the Super Mario Advance series for the Game Boy Advance at the time, so the prospect of 2D Mario coming back was a big deal at the time. This new 2D Mario game would later become known as New Super Mario Bros. New Super Mario Bros. Would release on May 15th, 2006 for the Nintendo DS and was a smash hit. And with the game being a massive hit, Nintendo, being Nintendo, decided to get to work on its sequel. After the success of New Super Mario Bros., Nintendo later that year would release another success, which was their next home console, the Nintendo Wii. The Wii was unlike anything seen before with its motion controls. Miyamoto had for years struggled to add simultaneous multiplayer into Mario games, but with the Wii's power, it became possible for it to happen, and this would become a main feature for the next New Super Mario Bros. Game. Remember Super Guide? This was a feature that was added to many Nintendo games during the Wii era, in which struggling players can watch a guide by the developers on how to beat the level, and New Super Mario Bros. Wii was actually the flagship title for this new Super Guide feature. Nintendo had many ideas that didn't even make it to the final game. Originally, there was going to be vehicles. Yeah, vehicles that would be controlled using the Wii Remote, but was simplified because it would have been way too complicated for the normies. These scrapped mechanics would become the new power-ups that New Super Mario Bros. Wii would add, in which we will get to that later. Princess Peach was actually originally planned to be a playable character in the game, but didn't happen because of her dress physics. This means New Super Mario Bros. Wii would have had a completely different story than it would have in the final game. The Mega Mushroom from New Super Mario Bros. Was also originally going to appear, but caused problems in the multiplayer, so it was scrapped. We could have had a Mega Bowser versus Mega Mario fight. That would have been awesome. Also, apparently Yellow Toad was originally supposed to be a red toad instead of a yellow toad, which is really cool. New Super Mario Bros. Wii would be officially unveiled at E3 2009, and the game definitely looked different, like the UI being a different font, checkpoints looking different, and a lot of reused assets from New Super Mario Bros. On the DS. This game had a ton of differences from development to the final game, which is a shame because a lot of these ideas would have been so good, like Chicken Mario. Yeah, not kidding. That was going to be a thing for this game. At E3, the main talk was the multiplayer, and rightfully so because it had never really been done before. 4 players all on screen at the same time in a mainline Super Mario Bros. Game, that was a big deal. New Super Mario Bros. Wii would release on November 12th, 2009 for the Nintendo Wii, which was the first mainline 2D Mario game on a home console after 19 years since the release of Super Mario World, which was a very long time. New Super Mario Bros. Wii was a huge success, just like its predecessor on the DS, selling 30.32 million copies worldwide, being one of the highest selling games of all time. Even with the success in sales, what about reception? New Super Mario Bros. Wii was received well by critics and fans at launch, but over time would also get its criticism, in which we will get to. The story of New Super Mario Bros. Wii is basically the exact same plot that has plagued Mario since 1985. Princess Peach getting captured for the millionth time. Okay, but seriously, the story begins with celebrating Princess Peach's birthday, and everyone is having a pleasant time. Then a massive cake is brought out and, the decor looks awfully suspicious. It's probably nothing, right? Everyone is astonished by the huge cake, and then the Koopalings, who haven't had a single appearance since Super Mario World, finally made their return in this game, and for some reason, Mario and the gang just stand there in shock and don't stop the threat. The Koopalings take Princess Peach onto an airship, while Mario, Luigi, Yellow Toad, and Blue Toad chase after it. Also, Peach's birthday presents get shot out of a cannon and pollute the kingdom. Thanks, Toad! These presents would aid in the adventure, though. Mario, Luigi, and the Toads travel across the Mushroom Kingdom, stomping Koopas and bullying kids. And finally, by the end of World 8, Mario and the gang fight Bowser and defeat him. Bowser gets super big, and then you defeat him again. And Peach has been saved. Again. And then finally, Luigi gets humiliated by Mario, and that's basically the story of New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Yeah, not very unique or intriguing, which is really unfortunate. The story could have been something more interesting because of, well, first off, Peach being a planned and playable character. Now, yes, it's a Mario game, and Mario games aren't exactly known for their story, but look at Galaxy. That game did something familiar, but took it to a cinematic level and had actual lore for its characters. Or even any of the RPGs that had unique, engaging stories. Also, I must mention this. You know how Peach has a floating ability? Why doesn't she just glide down off the airship? Plot convenience, of course. But even with the lame and uninspired story, it still gets the job done. But I do feel like Nintendo could have done more with the story of the game. Hell, 2D Mario games had different stories, like Mario reclaiming his castle for Mario. That's pretty cool. The story is not great, but this isn't God of War. It's good old Mario. And it at least gets straight to the point and into the action. Now we move on to gameplay, and the gameplay of New Super Mario Bros. Wii is very fun, even if a lot of it has been done before, and that's fine. The gameplay is exactly what you would expect 2D Mario to be. Mario goes from level to level, from left to right, pounding Goombas, kicking shells, jumping over pipes, coins galore, and power-ups to aid in the adventure. Mario's moveset consists of many classic 2D moves like running, jumping, spinning, picking up items, sliding, swimming, and crouching. But now Mario has a new arsenal of moves to use from the 3D Mario games, like double jumping, triple jumping, ground pounding, wall jumping. I think it's really awesome that Nintendo incorporated many aspects of 3D Mario into this game. Sure, New Super Mario Bros. Did it first, but I think New Super Mario Bros. Wii further refined Mario's base moveset. The game also includes motion control gameplay, and a new move was added brand new for the game, and that's the mid-air spin. The player must shake the Wii remote while Mario or the others are in the air, and it gives you more control in the air, and it can save you from dying or help you get to many faraway areas or platforms. This move definitely adds to the base moveset. Now sure, many may find it annoying with the motion controls, but I found that it worked out quite well most of the time. I have no complaints with it. New Super Mario Bros. Wii also adds new and returning power-ups, starting with the old. First, we have the Super Mushroom, which when collected makes you bigger and enables you to fully break brick blocks. Just make sure you get it before it jumps off a cliff. The Fire Flower also makes a return, allowing you to shoot fireballs, which can kill enemies and even light up the level in dark spaces. Then the Superstar makes a comeback, allowing you to become invincible from enemies and hazards that aren't pits, lava, poison, or getting crushed. And it's under a time limit as always. Finally, of the old power-ups, the Mini Mushroom from New Super Mario Bros. Returns and allows you to shrink to mini size. In mini form, you can jump higher with altered physics, run on water, and go into mini pipes, only accessible for the Mini Mushroom. Unfortunately, you can still die in one hit, and you can't kill enemies by simply jumping. You have to ground pound enemies to kill them. Now for the new power-ups. New Super Mario Bros. Wii introduces 3 brand new power-ups to the series. First, we have the Ice Flower, which, wait, hasn't the Ice Flower existed already? Sure, The Ice Flower was first introduced in Super Mario Galaxy, but the abilities and look are completely different. In Galaxy, the Ice Flower turned Mario and Luigi into pure ice form, and are able to walk on water and lava, and even wall jump on waterfalls. The power-up was also on a time limit, so yeah, it was originally from Super Mario Galaxy, but they completely altered it in this game. In New Super Mario Bros. Wii, the Ice Flower is much different. For starters, the Ice Flower is basically just the opposite of the Fire Flower in this game. Mario and the others don't turn into complete ice this time around, but just altered colors like the Fire Flower. You are able to actually shoot ice and freeze enemies, and you can use the freeze enemies as a throwable that slides and kills enemies, and this time around, it doesn't have a time limit. I think that these were good changes to accommodate for 2D gameplay instead of 3D, and this version of the Ice Flower is the version that has been used since New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Next, we have the Penguin Suit, which turns you into a literal penguin. This power-up is great because with the suit, Mario can swim more freely and at a faster pace underwater. Penguin Mario also lets you move on ice easier, as normally you would slip and slide. If you run, Mario is then allowed to slide on the ground and cruise through enemies, blocks, and even gaps. Penguin Mario can also shoot ice and freeze enemies, just like the Ice Flower, which is then a little contradictory because what's the point of the Ice Flower if there's another power-up that does exactly what it does, but with more abilities? Marketing purposes, of course, but hey look, we have 3 new power-ups instead of just 2. Woo! Finally, we have the Propeller Mushroom, which turns Mario into Propeller Mario. This allows you, with the shake of the Wii Remote, to fly up high and go over gaps and go to higher sections of the level. You can also twirl back down or spin drill down super quickly. This power-up is really great and helpful, especially for obtaining secrets, and I'm sure glad they made it. It's a great addition to the game and the overall series. Now I must talk about the multiplayer, New Super Mario Bros. Wii's biggest selling point and its revolutionary feature. Multiplayer has been part of the Mario franchise since as early as 1983 in the Mario Bros. Arcade game. Then multiplayer would come to the classic Mario games on the NES and the SNES, but players had to take turns and couldn't play on screen together at the same time. Once Mario made the jump to 3D, multiplayer in general didn't make the cut, unfortunately. Super Mario 64 was originally going to include multiplayer, but was scrapped because of the Nintendo 64's limitations. But no mainline Mario game had true simultaneous multiplayer until New Super Mario Bros. On the DS. But you had to have another DS, and it wasn't super convenient. But then New Super Mario Bros. Wii brought it back, and no longer were the days of taking turns, and not just 2, but 4 players could get in on the action all at the same time, which was huge at the time for a main series Mario game. This was the first time mainline Mario multiplayer was truly realized to its potential. Now, how exactly does it work, and is it executed well? Yes and no. Now let me explain. It works very well performance-wise, and the Wii does a great job at handling all the players at once, but it's absolute freaking chaos. Okay, now let's talk about how it actually works. In the main menu, you're able to select 3 files. By selecting 1, you can select how many players you want, from 1 through 4. Then you are given 4 characters to choose from, well, except player 1, they're forced to play as Mario. I mean, come on. Players 2 through 4 can choose between Luigi, Yellow Toad, and Blue Toad. I will say though, why didn't they just use Wario and Waluigi instead? Oh, but they're bad guys. Well, Wario was a playable character in Super Mario 64 DS and was a protagonist in his own games, so it could have been possible, but the Toads work just fine, I guess, and Waluigi, it's Waluigi, who cares? Multiplayer is just complete BS. Everyone is together, and it's just so frustrating and just pure buffoonery, but it's just so hilarious, screwing with each other and messing around. It's so much fun and chaotic, and I think that's part of the magic of this game. You can either cooperate and work together throughout the adventure, or make everyone's lives a living hell. Many people complain about the multiplayer being frustrating due to the competitive nature, but I think it gives the game a different approach than, it is normally intended. And it makes the game way harder than it otherwise would have been if it was just one player. Now, you don't even have to play the main game with friends. There's also 2 additional multiplayer modes, Free-for-All and Coin Battle. First free-for-all is a battle for the most amount of points in the available 10 courses. In coin battle, players compete in gaining the most amount of coins in a set of 10 stages, but a few of them are actually custom made exclusively for this mode based off the Underground and 1-1 levels from Super Mario Bros. That's pretty freaking cool. Both of these modes are fine, but I do feel like they could have added so much more content for both multiplayer and even single player, which was done much better in New Super Mario Bros. U. Multiplayer adds so much to the game, it also makes it much more replayable, and for Nintendo's first attempt at simultaneous 4-player multiplayer in a mainline Mario game, they did a pretty good job. Later entries would refine the concept, but New Super Mario Bros. Wii did it first, and that's a huge accomplishment. Now we talk about the levels themselves. The levels in this game are mostly very well designed, and exactly what you would expect from Nintendo. Each level contains many challenges and secrets to overcome. Thankfully, Nintendo did a decent job at making sure that the levels can accommodate for the multiplayer. Now, how is that done? Well, the levels feel bigger and more open than you'd expect to fit 4 players. The screen will sometimes zoom really far out when players are separated, making the levels feel much more expansive. Consequentially, however, is that sometimes the levels can just feel really empty with all the space, and it's most noticeable in single player because it's just a one-man army in a game designed for, well, a 4-man army. Even with the design focusing on accommodating 4 players, some did not work so well. Looking right at you, 8-7! The levels themselves feel very generic and boring in presentation. Many of them feel and look, well, the exact same. New Super Mario Bros. Wii consists of 9 worlds, and 8 of which are the normal worlds, and the themes of these worlds influence the levels. The world themes are also pretty generic and ripped right from New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, which also makes the levels feel less memorable because of how similar everything looks. But does that mean the levels are bad? No. Not at all. This game has so many great levels, and despite everything looking very samey, actually has very creative and memorable levels. My personal favorite being 8-7, which we already sort of mentioned, where you get to ride a freaking dinosaur skeleton roller coaster thing. This level's awesome. Or 5-4, where you are riding a boat that if it contains way too many enemies, it stops, and so you have to kill all the enemies. And also, of course, 9-7, which, well, is considered one of the hardest Mario levels of the entire series. And I can tell you this, it's definitely hard, especially with multiple people. But yeah, great level. It actually has a really unique theme, a snowy jungle, pretty awesome. I think it's pretty good. And many more I would consider memorable. Some levels actually include Yoshi. Yoshi makes a return in this game. Yoshi has many of his classic abilities like eating enemies, holding items in his mouth, or spitting them out, eating fruit, and once you eat a bunch of fruit and the meter fills up, you can actually get a free power-up or a 1-up. And of course, flutter jumping. And there's actually multiple color Yoshis in this game, which, and for some reason, in future installments like New Super Mario Bros. U, they completely got rid of multiple color Yoshis, and now you just have regular green Yoshis for some reason. The one problem with Yoshi is that, unlike in older games, Yoshi cannot be used in other levels, only in Yoshi levels. And once you finish the course, Yoshi doesn't come along with you, and so you can't bring him to the world map and to other levels, which is quite unfortunate, but I can understand considering the fact that Yoshi might be quite overpowered in many levels, and some of these levels definitely aren't designed for Yoshi, so I can understand. Some levels also have motion controls implemented. Some levels have platforms that you can control with the Wii Remote. Some of these levels can be really challenging, especially with multiple people. But motion control segments and levels aren't super common, which I think is good because, well, you never want something to overstay its welcome. For the sake of using the console's main gimmick, Wii U. The levels also have many secrets and collectibles. Secrets can be something as simple as a bonus area, hidden 1-ups, power-up blocks, or even stars. The main secrets you find are star coins. Star coins make a return from New Super Mario Bros. On the DS and are fundamentally the exact same. Each level houses 3 star coins to collect. Star coins are hidden throughout the level, and some not so much, and can be super fun to collect and even challenging, though some star coins are completely BS. But thankfully most aren't and feel very rewarding to get them all, especially in a first run through a level. And if you obtain all star coins in every level in each world, you unlock World 9, full of very challenging and frustrating levels, but it's themed on Rainbow Road, so hey, it makes sense. Some levels also include secret exits. Secret exits are alternate secret paths that unlock shortcuts in worlds, or just unlock new levels. Or even cannons, which allow you to skip entire portions of the game. Star coins and secret exits add much more depth to the game's levels and adds much more replay value to each level, which is obviously a great thing. Now we need to talk about the world maps themselves. Each of the 9 worlds has a unique world map, all with their own themes. You know how I said the levels and world themes were generic and uninspired? Here's what I mean. World 1, grass. World 2, desert. World 3, snow. World 4, beach. World 5, jungle. World 6, mountain. World 7, clouds. World 8, volcano. All being very boring. However, they aren't bad, but just have been done before a million times. Despite that, the world maps for each world are very different, like there being unique enemies you can fight, cool gimmicks like quicksand, switches like in Super Mario World and World 3, which is really awesome, and very underutilized, since it's only used in this one world. Vines blocking your path, or climbing a giant mountain in World 6, which honestly is so cool and immersive. Better watch out for the bullets though. The worlds also include mushroom houses with 3 variants: green, red, and star. Green mushroom houses give you 1-ups by shooting out of a cannon. Red mushroom houses give you items that you can store by matching the panels with the corresponding power-up. Just make sure you don't get Bowser or Bowser Jr. matched, or it's game over. And finally, the star mushroom houses simply give you a star from a chest, and that's it. And what I also think is really cool is that the worlds also switch between horizontal and vertical, which I personally really like. It makes the layouts more interesting. The level layout is inspired from its predecessor by mostly just being a straight line, but even then, it's still pretty linear. Some worlds also include ghost houses. Ghost houses have returned, and I'll be honest, I've never really been a big fan of ghost houses. I've always kind of not been that great at them. You know, you can get lost pretty easily, and they really suck when you're trying to get all the secrets, and they can really throw you off. But hey, it's a nice distraction from the main themes you see in this game, and hey, it even has a rat hole, which I thought was a secret, and there was no secret in the rat hole. Come on, man. Each world has a fortress and castle where you fight each Koopaling, and it was really cool at the time seeing these guys because it had been around 20 years since they appeared in Super Mario World. The fights are nothing special, jump on them 3 times and well, that's it. They do have their own unique moves, my favorite being the Chain Chomp from Iggy, since that's the closest we got to a unique boss in this game. World 4, 6, and 8 all include airship levels where you fight Bowser Jr., my favorite being World 6 because you get to use your own Koopa Clown cars, and that is freaking awesome. You also, of course, fight Bowser at the end of World 8, and it's just a modern, dumbed down version of the original Bowser boss fight. Oh I spoke too soon! Bowser grows super huge and chases you through the castle. Despite it being fairly easy, I do love the concept, and it's a really cool finale, thanks to the vibe, the tone, stakes, and music. Speaking of the music is classic, it's catchy, and it's fun. The bas in the music give the game so much personality by making even the enemies react and dance to the music every time a ba happens. I feel like I must now talk about the modding scene for this game. Now, we all know how the Wii is very notorious for its modding and hacking scene, and it's still going on even to this day. And New Super Mario Bros. Wii is a major component to the Wii's modding scene. This game has so many mods, it's absurd, and by far one of the most popular Nintendo games when it comes to mods. So many mods have been made over the years, from character mods, texture mods, and even full-blown Mario games created using New Super Mario Bros. Wii. But the most popular by far is newer Super Mario Bros. Wii, made by the newer team, who also made a DS version called Newer Super Mario Bros. DS. That's how big it was. Newer Super Mario Bros. Wii is a mod that basically fixes a lot of the issues of New Super Mario Bros. Wii. So much is added and changed, like new levels, power-ups, features, mechanics, bosses, and more. But this hack actually fixes the main problem of the base game being the bland and uninspired look, even if the graphics themselves, with the 2D, 3D style, always looked good. This mod has unique themes, like a Japan-themed world, a space world, a world that mixes both fire and ice, a ghost world, and so much more. Now that is what I call unique and inspired. And the game has more identity for itself because of its desire to stand out. Honestly, Newer Super Mario Bros. Wii honestly would have been a perfect sequel, and could have completed the New Super Mario Bros. Trilogy, which would have been New Super Mario Bros. DS, Wii, and Newer, if it was, an official game. But it's a mod, and we would get a much different official approach instead. In the grand scope of things, New Super Mario Bros. Wii heavily impacted the franchise. The overall presentation of the game will be brought over to future installments. Nintendo from around 2010 to 2016 was very contained with Mario, and the franchise was getting stale due to the repetitive style of New Super Mario Bros. Wii. The games in this era were mostly all quite generic in presentation, and all just felt like cool, more Mario instead of holy shit, more Mario. It didn't help that in 2012, Nintendo would release 2 New Super Mario Bros. Games. New Super Mario Bros. 2 for the 3DS and New Super Mario Bros. U for the Wii U, both being nothing special and just being more simple Mario pretty much. And being even more unmemorable, unlike DS and Wii, because they at least did all of this first, and I would say are just better games. Now don't get me wrong, 2 and U are not bad games. They are quite good, decent fun, but they just fail to do anything really new besides, hey look, a new power-up or a new enemy. Due to the repetitive nature of Mario in this era, fans started to look down at New Super Mario Bros. Wii for basically being the catalyst of this era. Which sure, you can argue that, but it doesn't make it any less of what it was back in 2009. I would say that 2017 ended the bland age of Mario, even if, we can still see some semblance of that nowadays, but I would say Nintendo's kind of gone back to that unique era of Mario more so back in the 2000s. Even with the arguable negative impact, the game basically gave way for mechanics like multiplayer to later evolve and improve, and is still around to this day. We wouldn't have incredible games like Wonder, 3D World, hell, even Odyssey, if it weren't for New Super Mario Bros. Wii. In conclusion, New Super Mario Bros. Wii is a really fun game. Sure, it's not the most groundbreaking game in the series, and the style and presentation have been done countless times since, but its simultaneous 4-player multiplayer being super revolutionary, and having 2D Mario come back to consoles after almost 20 years was also really awesome as well. We did a good job at what it was sought out to do. I do hope it gets a re-release someday so people who never had a Wii can experience the absolute chaos and fun that is and was New Super Mario Bros. For Wii.